As the clock has ticked over to 6 o'clock, I would like to open tonight's ordinary meeting of council. So, firstly, we'll have the prayer and acknowledgement of traditional landowners. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the peace and beauty of this area. Direct and prosper the deliberations of this council for the advancement of the city and the welfare of its people. Amen. We would like to acknowledge the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of the land, and also like to pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. Record of apologies and leave of absence, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and good evening, everybody. Just for your information, we do have a number of apologies recorded for tonight's meeting. I do note that Councillor Cruz is in attendance and will record you as attending. Thank you. So, Mr. Deputy Mayor, the Mayor is an apology on leave of absence for tonight's meeting. We also have Executive Director, Corporate and Commercial Services, Mr. Matthew Gilfillan is an apology, and we have Mr. Reitzmer attending in his place. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Next, disclosures of interest. CEO, do we have any?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No disclosures at this point in time. However, I will just ask everyone that's in attendance, being elected members and staff, is there anybody that would like to make a disclosure for tonight's meeting? No disclosures. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Reports of members. Councillors, just bear in mind what I emailed everyone out yesterday or last night. If you haven't seen it, maybe you should check your emails. Firstly, I'll start with Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Spring has sprung. Evidence of Jilba. The transitional season is all around us. The birds are chirping, wildflowers are blooming, southern right whales are splashing, western ringtail possums and bandicoots are scurrying, and nature tourism is peaking. Alarmingly, spring prescribed burns have filled our skies with smoke at the same time. More about that later. The highlight of my month was facilitating on a forum on environmental issues to educate and inform prospective council nominees. I want to express my gratitude to all who participated, and especially to Sam Stevens and John Doust, who have compiled the presentations for us and given us copies of them. I can tell you that there are so many people in Albany who are passionate about working for the environment, and they all came together and dedicated their time to put their thoughts in a 4-minute presentation, just like this one is, and it was amazingly inspirational. I do encourage you to read all of the reports there. As a trained whale tracker, last week I recorded a sighting of a southern right whale and mother and her calf off Good Beach, thanks to Paul Guest of Albany Whale Tours, who supports the Whale Tracker project. The turtle trackers are also on alert, awaiting the nesting activity of snake-necked turtles at Lake Seppings. Albany's Wildflower Society put on a brilliant display at St. John's Hall in York Street and gave guided walks during their Wildflower Festival this week. I spent a few days marveling in nature at the Ravensthorpe Wildflower Festival and joined an orchid discovery tour with leading expert Andrew Brown, as well as revisiting the herbarium introduced to members at the Walga Great Southern Zone meeting. Across the Great Southern, the Southern Art and Craft Trail is now open. I caught an exhibition of the City of Albany's art collection at the Town Hall. That was hot on the heels of the WA Women's Hall of Fame 15th anniversary exhibition. Albany Seroptimus and the Inner Wheel displayed portraits of the women honored this year. They compiled a special display board of great Southern women in the Hall of Fame. Too many to mention here, but including Prue Arbor, Margaret Metcalf, Annette Knight, and Jess Beckley. This month, I also convened a forum on weed action management together with Tony Gunning of Young Sightings. We gathered land managers and biodiversity experts with reps from volunteer bush care groups. Speakers included Professor Stephen Hopper from UWA, Keith Bradby from Gondwanlink, John Moore from the Department of Agriculture, and leaders of Green Skills, Oyster Harbor, Torbay and Wilson Inland Catchments Groups, South Coast NRM, Denmark-based South Coast Weed Management Incorporated, and the City of Albany Reserves team. For P.F. Olson's Anthony Wise had some great suggestions on how to get organized. organized. There are many actions arising from that afternoon, and I will be hosting a follow-up meeting to develop a plan for integrated action going forward. The different bush care groups are keen to meet again, and there were calls for the city to list the Sydney golden wattle as a pest. Also this month, the homeless focus group met with project leader Michelle Blakely on the site of the 12 homes under construction in McHale for the My Home project. Local service groups, under the leadership of the Rotary Club of Albany Port, each have a role in transforming the buildings into homes. I also attended the Albany premiere of the Hollywood production set here in Albany, We Bury the Dead, and I was invited to join the advisory board of the Pathways to Politics for Women program at UWA. We gave a presentation to this year's cohort of 25 amazing women.
Thank you. Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As this is my last council meeting for my current term, I would like to say a couple of things. But first, if I could report that I represented the Mayor at the opening for the Southern Arts and Craft Trail earlier in the week. The Art Trail is probably my favourite regional event, so I was very happy to be there. It was a lovely night, good crowd, lots of wonderful, creative types, all very enthusiastic for the start of another art trail. It's the 22nd Art Trail, 63 exhibitions, plus another 17 school displays. Many people come to the Great Southern for the Art Trail, and it's a perfect example of a regional event that successfully brings people here. They come for the trail, but they stay and they spend money on restaurants, accommodation, and they visit other attractions and hopefully plan to bring some friends back with them next year. Now, as this is the last meeting with this particular group of councillors, as we sit down together, it seems appropriate to reflect briefly on the past 4 years, which have been a bit of a roller coaster in many ways. There have been some good achievements, some serious challenges, and of course the sad loss of Councillor Good. One of the things about being on council is that it often takes a long time to see things come to fruition because planning takes time. So in some ways, the work of the last few years that I'm most excited about are yet to come. That'll be the bicentenary celebrations next year, the airport upgrade, the new biking and hiking paths, and the new IT system and user interface, which for our customers, which should make dealing with the city feel a lot more this century. So that's going to be pretty exciting next year. But the most important thing to do right now is to thank everyone on the council. I think as a team, we've all worked together pretty well most of the time towards the common goal of making Albany a better place to live. And I would really like to thank the city staff because they are an amazing crew for their consummate professionalism, which is what makes the rest of us look great. So, well, I think you do. So, thank you very much for that. And also personally, the last 12 months have been pretty rough for me and the family. So everyone's been really supportive, and I want to thank you for that. And just quickly, good luck to everyone running for re-election, and good luck to everyone who's still here after the election. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor McKinley.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. September is finals time in a lot of sports around Albany, and I attended ALAC and a lot of football grounds and witnessed a lot of the finals. And I'd just like to congratulate in the netball Kangas, who defeated Narrackup by 5 in the A1 division. In the A2, Railways defeated Tambalup by 5 points. In the A3 division, Narrackup defeated Kangas by 3. And A4, Denmark defeated Narrackup by 7. So some great finals if you had the pleasure to attend the event there at ALAC. Netball's huge in Albany, and it's a pleasure to watch some of the games because they're very competitive. In the football, in the Great Southern Football League, in the seniors, Railways had the premiership this year. They defeated Albany Sharks by 15 points in a close affair. In the reserves, Railways again had a great year. They also won the Colts by 3 points. And in the under 16s, Royals had a win by 7 points over Denmark. So congratulations to all involved and the premiers of all those divisions. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brough.
No thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is my last meeting. There's no doubt about that. I'm not standing again, and I would really like to thank my fellow councillors and the staff very much for the support that I've got. Even though my councillor career has been a bit of a cameo with only 3 years, I have been involved in local government for about 15 years, and I just took a bit of time to reflect on why I was, the last quarter of my life I have been involved in local government. And I think it's because what I value most is what local government values most, and that's family, community and nature. And I think that's what it's all about. It's going out there and listening to community. And I really have enjoyed my 3 years as a councillor and all my time involved in local government. I also reflected on why I would have been attracted to that. And I think back to my family and my dad, who was such an inspiration to me. I can always remember some of his little terminologies. He said, if you can't say something nice about somebody, don't say anything at all. I can remember that. I can also remember him saying that don't never think of yourself as better or worse than anyone else, just different. And I've always thought that way. And I also think about my mum, and the last thing that she wrote a little eulogy that we read out just before she died, and she said what my dad would say every time he left out the family tour: be kind to each other. And I think that's a bit old school, because we seem to, as a world, becoming less kind to each other, and I'm all for caring for people and being kind for each other. So I thought I'd finish off, as I do so often, with a poem, which is about my family, dedicated to my family, and it goes something like this. The Grimmers are my family, who I love with all my heart. Connected generations who all play their special part. Bruce and Agatha Grimmer, loving, kind and strong, a rather awesome couple who taught us how to get along. And Denise, Stephen, Susan, Helen, Jane, Claire and Jeffrey, learning to live together with our parents as the referee. Our aunties, uncles, in-laws, cousins, nephews, nieces, we think you're real special and we love you all to pieces. A very special thank you to Claire, my loving wife. You've given me a purpose and a happy life. Fun-loving, kind and generous, wise and sometimes loud, the Grimmer spirit defines me. That's why I feel so proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grimmer. A great way to end your time. Well, it's not quite finished yet, but we've got this meeting and a CCS meeting to get through. But yeah, thank you very much for your service over the last 3 years. Councillor Bajou.
That's a bit of a tough one, isn't it, to follow? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, it has been another really full-on month. Thank you to Councillor McLaren for the Issues Forum, and thank you too to everyone who presented. It was truly inspirational. This month I also had the privilege of attending the ACCI Sundowner at Woolwich Farm. We had the presentation on the Indigenous Skills Employment Program, and that is absolutely something that deserves our support. Cinefest Oz has been mentioned. Yeah, it was great. I was able to attend the screening at the Surf Club, which was the 7 short films, Deadly Shorts, and lots of successful reports on the screening of We Bury the Dead. Great Southern Art Trail, yeah, fantastic. It's launched. We do have amazing creatives in this region, and to date I've attended 21 out of 63, so still going strong on that. I also attended the local government convention, and interestingly, but not surprisingly, the theme was Lean into Legacy. And as we've heard from Councillor Grimmer, yeah, that's really what local government's about. Found it interesting. We had presentations from local government strategists, futurists, politicians, Glenn McGrath and Adam Goods. So, yeah, we heard about leadership, electrification, economic development, and the role of local government, why we're here, and the impact, the long-term impacts of what we do. So it too has given me time to reflect, a good opportunity to think about my last 4 years and what we've achieved. It has been an absolute privilege and honour to serve in public office as a councillor with the City of Albany. So thank you too to my fellow councillors for making this journey so wonderful, and to the staff and to the ratepayers. We appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Councillor Grimmer. There's a whole lot of truisms in your life that parallel with mine, and that is what makes us do what we do, or it's the reason we do it. In terms of what we've achieved and the legacy that I feel I've been a part of, our significant achievements, Surf Reef, the Mounts, National Anzac Centre, extensive trails and paths, responding to the housing crisis through policy, through structure plans, projects and land release, rebuilding a constructive relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, a reconciliation action plan, a strong focus on arts and culture. Our strategic planning has an emphasis on sustainability and livability across that spectrum, and we're progressing with an updated biodiversity strategy. The City of Albany is in a strong financial position with substantial external funds and grants available. And I'm proud to be involved in some of these achievements, leaving a lasting legacy. As mentioned, we have dealt with some difficult issues and challenges. Much is obvious in what has played out in the public arena, but there's also stuff that's not so obvious that occurs behind the scenes, and it does come with a toll, more so for some of us. We've dealt with flooding, fires, storm events, we're responding to less predictable weather, dealt with a mudslide and some unfortunate mudslinging. We've dealt with top-down reforms, arguably well-intentioned, but usually end up costing the ratepayers. Local government is certainly not easy. Not all projects are universally accepted, but with effective communication and consultation, we can get there. It's important to properly consult, to listen and consider things with empathy, to lead with integrity and determine the best outcomes for our community. I believe that this council has set the bar high. We are looking forward to a very exciting 2026 with events that are planned for the future. Last sentence. And may the next iteration of the City of Albany see continued success, collaboration and an even better future for Albany, an ongoing positive legacy.
Thank you, Bojic. Councillor Bojic. Councillor Trudd.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Two hard acts to follow there, but over the last month, a lot of the events I've been to have had a 2026 theme. Firstly, mention the Great Southern Recreation Advice Group, which meets quarterly. I'm represented council on that since I've been on council. We had to gerrymander up this session in the end of August. It's now going to become the Great Southern Sport and Recreation Group, which probably reflects its activities and its focus more. That's a really interesting meeting to actually attend, with regional groups from all the neighbouring shires attending. But otherwise, on the 27th of August, I went to an Albany 2026 community information session in the library, which was well run by Adam Gregory. Adam features strongly in my report today. He ran that with Hannah McGuffey really well to actually spread the word about the community activities which will happen this year, in a couple of months' time, and New Year's Eve they'll start. And then on the 11th of September, went to the Art After Dark event at the Vancouver Arts Centre, which was also focused on 2026. And you're probably fortunate that no other councillors went, because we actually did a session of line dancing there. Won't be signing up for that, I don't think. But on the 9th of September, Councillor McLaren and I went to the Great Southern Tourism and Hospitality Forum, run by the Albany Chamber of Commerce and Industry, at the Albany Golf Club. That was a really good session, and again focused on our 2026 plans, with Adam to the fore, giving the keynote address, I guess that was, and also on a panel. So that's really fired people with enthusiasm, I think, for 2026, and plans look just about together. And again, it's not far away. 31st of December this year, we could kick off for a whole year of commemoration, festivities and events, which I'm really looking forward to. And as Councillor McLaren and Councillor Beju mentioned, the Art and Craft Trail opening, and Councillor Cruz as well, the Art and Craft Trail opening was on the 23rd of September. That was a bit of a double banger that day, because I attended that and went then to the Albany premiere of the Cinefest Oz We Bury the Dead movie, which was great. Just like to remind council that that we actually fund both of these events and have done since 2020. We've given Art South WA about $55,000 to run the art trail, and Councillor Beju, you've been to how many? 21, 63. I've been to a few, but not quite that many. So we have a substantial stake in the Southern Art and Craft Trail. It is a highlight of the year. And as far as Cinefest Oz goes, we've given them about $150,000, and that's coming back to us really well. The enthusiastic crowd at the entertainment centre on that evening, there was probably 500 or more people, and there was also an overflow at Verana. Just to hear the enthusiasm for that movie, I would be the last person around this table to ever go to a zombie movie, probably the last person in Albany. But despite the movie, not really my thing, but to be in that crowd was an amazing thing. To hear the shouts and the claps and the applause, it was just great to be part of that, and to know that the city of Albany had played our part, and to see Albany on the big screen. Even though it was Tasmania, it was a little bit confusing, but set in Tasmania, but it was really, really good to see. The Art and Craft Trail, I've only done 7, Councillor Beju, yesterday in Denmark. It's a great way to spend a day. My 8th venue yesterday was a winery, so that finished the day really nicely. So yeah, my last potential council meeting, certainly for this session. So like others, I get asked a lot, do I enjoy council? Thank you, one more sentence. Do I always enjoy council? If I had $1 for every time I'm asked that, I'd be a little richer than I am now. It's always enjoyable, always interesting, challenging and educative, and it will continue to be so. So thank you to all my colleagues around the table, past and present, all of the staff, past, present, and all the levels down. It's been fabulous to work with you, and I hope to be able to continue with it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Trail. And it was a shame not to be able to get to the We Bury the Dead because, along with Councillor Beju, I was at the Wellver conference last week, but I'm glad it was well received by most that were there. Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Look, first of all, in Greg's or the Mayor's absence, I attended the Cleman Medal Count, which is the wrap-up for the season. And what a terrific bunch of people we've got there. It was well catered for. That the catering in the Centennial Stadium was magnificent. Very, very well put on. Becky didn't get to say too much. It was even better, and because she was a bit noisy last time. But just the quality of the young kids coming down, I call them kids because I'm not exactly a child myself, and the leadership and the I guess the generosity with their time to do things as well as play footy and do the training. And it was just magnificent. If they're the leaders coming through, we're in pretty good hands. And then I had the opportunity, while I do it every year, the Sutton family donate the fairest and the best at North Albany. So it was a real generational thing because my daughter said, look, I haven't been there for 20 odd years, and she grew up there. She came down with me and we had a fantastic night and saw lots of generations of other people there that their children and grandchildren are coming through. So it is really, really important. And when we look at giving that $180,000 thereabouts in rates relief or subsidy, it's really, really well spent, and interest is heaps on that. Now, just going into the newer election, if I walk out here and don't come back, I'd be disappointed, but any disappointment disappears if I drive down North Road on a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon. Deputy Mayor, you're there all the time yourself. There's so many people. And when I first got on council, we didn't have the opportunity to play proper games under lights or train under lights. You go to Mount Barker in Denmark and they could. And that was embarrassing at times. So if nothing else, in the next, from the past probably 12 years, I can look around and see all these things that we can do now, and we harp on that livability. And I think that's why Albany is probably still is the most rapidly growing regional city in Australia. And why wouldn't it? These last few spring days when the sun's come out, there can't be any better place to live. So, staff, thank you very much. And I urge all new councillors, look after your staff. They do a heck of a job. They get criticised regularly, and I think not praised enough from the outside. But you've looked after me nicely, because I can be hard work sometimes, I guess. But all the team have been fantastic, and I really appreciate what you've done. And I've been satisfied I can walk away, but I'm still got the energy if I come back. So thank you very much, and all the best for the candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Councillor Leonetti.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I've just got a couple of things to bring up for this month. I've had a lot of people come in over the last probably 2-3 months. They've asked me to bring it forward, and I was going to bring it quietly, and they've asked me to bring it up. Our hotel at Middleton Beach, we've had a lot of people are worried about it going there, because now with the reef, we're getting heaps of people, and they were talking about doing a land swap, which I think we should look at. Even the incoming councillors should probably look at doing a land swap with that Emu Point with the old golf club site, so that way the restaurants have got parking. Because the problem we're going to have at Middleton Beach in years to come, we can't make parking. So the more we put there, the less parking we're going to have there. So I really think we need to look at that as old and new candidates coming in. And the other thing I'd like to bring up, which caught me off guard, and I'm really bamboozled about it, our new surf reef. I've heard that there's been a lot of people getting injured. Are we liable for any comeback, or is it just if you break your leg, well, that's your problem? I mean, I'm just getting a bit worried if we're going to get caught with, coming back on us, on those two. And last and most, thanks to all the councillors here. It's been great. And all the ones that are trying to get in, to whoever makes it on the bench. It is a good job. It's good fun. And, all the best, and hopefully whoever we see here next month, we see. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Leonetti. Those questions you asked, maybe we can talk about that after the meeting. Yeah. There's a couple of things I just wanted to say. One thing that hasn't been mentioned, whilst the Mayor has been away, I've been deputising for him and doing lots of things. One of those things was the Great Southern District Primary School Music Festival, which is held every year over 2 nights. That was earlier this month. The talent that the music teachers at all the different primary schools that we have in the district is just really, really good, and it's so good to see all of those teachers working together to produce such a really good show for everyone to come along. It's always a very, very popular couple of nights at the entertainment centre. If you don't have primary school kids of your own, but get wind of tickets becoming available, you need to get onto them pretty quick, because they go bang like that. One other thing I just wanted to say, wearing this ribbon today, attended the Police Remembrance Day service yesterday at St John's. Always a poignant service to remember those police officers that have fallen in the course of duty. And I was told of a story which actually they put up on the West Australian Police Facebook page yesterday about an incident in Mount Barker in 1979, and was speaking to a lady there who actually didn't nurse, she was taking blood for the 2 police officers that were really badly, well, one died and the other lost a lot of blood, and she was taking a lot of blood. Just thank you to all the police officers for their service. And talking about service, thank you, I've already said thank you to Councillor Grimmer, to the rest of you that are up for election. If you don't make it through, thank you for the last 4 years or 16 years for Councillor Sutton. And for the rest of the candidates that are in the room and those that might be online, wish you all the best for the election. And we'll all know the result, probably not on Saturday night, maybe not even on the Sunday, but hopefully on the Monday. So thank you all. All right, so next we'll go to response to previous public questions taken on notice. There were a couple of questions from Michelle Kinsella at the last council meeting, and the response to her are shown on the screen there. Next, public question time. For those that aren't aware, we have a traffic light system, which you might see with the green, amber and red light. You'll have 4 minutes to speak. At 3 minutes 30, the light will go orange, and at 4 minutes will go red, and I'll ask you to wind up. If you're coming up to the microphone, please let us know your name and your locality where you live. You don't need to give your address. And if you are a candidate, please disclose that you are a candidate. And like the councillors around the room, especially those that are up for election, we don't want any campaigning here tonight. It's a campaign-free evening, and we're here to do council business. So if I can ask you to respect that request, that'd be great. First up, we have John Doust. And press the button there, John.
The button is pressed. John Doust, Spencer Park, cusp of Yakima. Respects to Menang Noongar elders past, present and coming through. Councillors, Deputy Mayor, Shanatoba, good year to you all. As you well know, you can survive for a while without food. The two most important sources for our survival are air and water. Cab. We're blessed with good air. A lot of people come down here and they open the car window and they can't close it. But our water is problematic. I'm not sure if I mentioned it here in this place before, but I grew up on a farm in Jugalup, Bridgetown, and was poisoned at an early age by heavy metals. We were surrounded by heavy metals. Petrol, baby food, teething powders, mercurochrome, teeth fillings, gutters, orchard sprays. And I grew up on a farm of 30 acres. This early poisoning informed my entire life. When I hear of outbreaks, like in Esperance, like Marble-up, I heat up, I get agitated, and I use a lot of words that I wouldn't normally in an open-air coffee setting. I want to make it clear, though, I'm not against the racetrack. I grew up on gravel. Gravel is in my blood. Even to this day, when my car hits gravel, unlike a normal person, I accelerate. So this heavy metal and other noxious issues in the waterway, the pollution of the waterway at Marble-up, it has to be stopped. It has to be sorted and not happen again. You can sort it. Do it.
Thank you, John. Samantha Stevens.
Oh no, Samantha Stevens, Robinson. Good evening, councillors, mayor and CEO. Firstly, thank you. I want to acknowledge and thank the outgoing councillors tonight for your service, your commitment and your contribution to the community. It is this group of councillors here tonight that made all the difference to the equestrian community through your support of the Stibble Bridle Trail determination. There was a lot of courage in the chamber that night. A bold move was made by councillors to amend the motion, a progressive move. It was brave and it protected users, bushland, and a little bit of our public drinking water was safeguarded that night. A decision with a lasting positive impact, and I thank you for that. Hopefully the new council will be just as bold and expand the current determination to include full protection of the South Coast Water Reserve from both licensed and unlicensed vehicles. Council has the power to do that and safeguard our water for the future. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge the recent Council Issues Forum held on the 20th of August and facilitated by the Albany Community Environment Centre. My thanks to Councillor McLaren for her organisation and facilitation on the evening. And what a great evening. 14 passionate, thoughtful speakers who brought community voices right to the fore. Their insights into Albany's environment are sharp, practical and solution-focused. On behalf of the Albany Community Environment Centre, I am formally presenting the collated speeches to Council tonight for your review, for your action and for inclusion in the Council minutes. These speeches represent a powerful record of community voices, and I encourage you to take the time to read them, please. I believe you will find inspiration and direction for the next iteration of the Community Strategic Plan there. Now, there was one topic that night that really grabbed my attention, and you're not going to believe it, but it wasn't the water. I know you thought it would be, but tonight it's Yakima forest. Who'd have thought? I've been coming into this chamber for years now, especially the last 5 years. Back then, the Yakima Forest mob were often here on the same night as our Stiddy mob. Different group, different issues, but the same passion. Stiddy was eventually resolved. We saddled up and galloped off into the sunset. And yet, here we are, years later, still talking about Yakima Forest. Over a long time, including during my 10 years working at the city, I've watched the Mayor and CEO step in numerous times to help the community find solutions to some big challenges, including a temporary home for cricket during the Centennial Park redevelopment, resolving tenure and infrastructure hurdles at the agricultural showgrounds, and a new home for tennis. Time and again, you've shown you can listen, influence, and deliver happy community outcomes where processes alone could not. And yet Yakima Forest is still with us. Honestly, I think the only thing that's lasted longer in this chamber than Yakima is Councillor Sutton. But on a serious note, I'd really hate for us to go into another year with this still bubbling away, distracting us from all the good things waiting for us in 2026. So my respectful request is please find a way forward for Yakima Forest. I know you can fix it, so we can move on, and next time I'm up here, I can go back to my favourite subject, the water, because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, our community's energy going into building the future, not circling the same old frustrations. And I know this council has the skill, the experience and the heart to deliver that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. In relation to the Yakima Forest, or 4743, as most people do know that are aware, the DPLH are doing the North Albany District Structure Plan, and as we've said all along, we'll wait until the outcome of the recommendations from that report, and then the new council will obviously need to make a decision, and that will may happen in the next 12 months or whatever. So watch this space, Sam. So hopefully in 2 years' time, that matter may be, mostly resolved. Thank you. Next, I have Sarah Taylor.
Is that good? Thank you very much, Mayor, councillors and staff for having me. I'm Sarah Taylor, Young Siding, and I have nominated as a candidate for council at the next election. I'm here to talk about the budget review. My first question is, the budget review shows how the expenditure for Middleton Road and Aberdeen Street has been transferred to reserve as you're deferring those projects until next year. There has been no detail on how the changes to Capital Road Programme for Admiral Street and Bayview have changed in regards to how they are funded. Only mention that there's a $1 million funding from Road Recovery being allocated to those projects. Has there been a reduction in transfer from Road Reserve? Second question. I received this in my mail, probably just like every other ratepayer, detailing your rates and what you need to know. It states in there that rural ratepayers on UV properties will receive an average of 9.95% rate rise, or around $5 a week for most households, a small amount for a big improvement in road safety and quality. What eventuated was that the UV minimum ratepayers received 0.5 of 1% rate rise, and UV rate in the dollar farmers received a 14.2% rate rise increase. This inequitable spread of the increase in rates was not communicated to councillors, and there was no mention of this at the Rural Road Show that were held. In the budget review, you have a surplus of approximately 1.4 million, as well as a high probability that there'll be fees and charges that have been underestimated, probably to the value of 1.7 million, based on a 3% rate rise on last year's actuals. With over 3 million of additional revenue that council may receive, there was no need for farmers' rates to be raised excessively. In fact, there could have been a reduction for all ratepayers if that additional revenue had been allocated and taken into consideration. How is this underestimation of revenue and carried forward surplus justified under section 6.2 of the Local Government Act? And my last question. I have been told by several councillors that farmers are not contributing enough in their rates for rural roads and that the rate in the dollar for UV properties is too low. However, at the last budget, you dropped the rate in the dollar for UV properties for the 25-26 budget. In regards to the simple analysis completed to justify the rate increase for farmers by highlighting the rate in the dollar for Albany compared to neighbouring shires, which is detailed in the information that you sent out to all ratepayers, I have also done another simple comparison, which shows that UV rate holders pay per rateable property almost $2,700 each, compared with GRB ratepayers who pay just over $2,500 per rateable property. I feel that this demonstrates the UV ratepayers make a fair contribution, especially given the fact that we don't have the same services as in town. Next year, you will not be able to increase the UV minimum rate without requiring any ministerial approval. What plans have you put in place to deal with the UV minimum issue for next year? And if you're planning on receiving ministerial approval, why could that have not been done in the 25-26 budget year and save farmers an increase in rates of 3 times more than town rates and 29 times more than UV minimum rates? Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I think we'll best to take all those questions on notice, and administration will answer them in due course. Thank you. Mandy Arnold. Mandy, if you can press.
Hello, everyone. Yes, it's spring and our birds are out.
Mandy, can I just get you to say your name and your locality?
I'm sorry, yes, Mandy Arnold, 28 Chester Pass Road, Yakamaya. It's spring and our birds are nesting and our possums are moving around and there's a lot of life in our forest. And yet, in recent days, we've been looking skyward and seeing what? Smoke. And it's deliberately lit. And it's legal. And it's current prescribed practices. I believe these practices might be modern, but they're outdated. They simply won't do. I note that we have our strategic bushfire plan 2014 to 2019 as part of our minutes in our agenda pack tonight. I note that the interagency relationships on this plan include the DFES, the Department for Fire and Emergency Services. I'd like you to note that the Department of Fire and Emergency Services Bushfire Centre of Excellence has cultural burning practices promoted and supported in the traditional model, using culturally informed knowledge and equally ecologically sensitive techniques. I would wish that going forward that those agencies that work with the interagency would actually take note of traditional burning practices and incorporate these going forward into our bushfire plans. Gondwana Link is not mentioned in that document. Gondwana Link has a restoring habitat health of our environment as their guidelines. Their burns are led by elders and community members considering guidelines around timing, location, fire intensity, ecological and cultural practices being valued and protected. I can tell you that in the Northern Territory since 2007, There are 76 projects being led with Aboriginal involvement. Last but not least, our very own UWA has the Walking Together project, using burning to protect our biodiversity instead of absolutely decimating it with hot fire burning. They use Aboriginal knowledge and Western science to protect our biodiversity. And in 2022, the first elder-led Noongar burn occurred in Denmark. And as mentioned earlier in the evening, Professor Stephen Hopper was part of that with our local Noongar elders. I encourage the City of Albany, along with the strategic bushfire planning, to embrace cultural diversity and cultural practices going forward to take care of our precious, precious animals and our bush. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. I attended a bushfire. Thank you, John. I attended a bushfire advisory committee meeting last week or the week before, and we had a presentation from Sean. I can't remember what his surname. Winter. That's what I thought. From Wagga Kaiep, who talked about cultural burning, and with the Wagga Kaiep land holding, which is like 100,000 hectares or something, they are going to start doing cultural burns on the land that they basically looking after. So that practice is going to start in the region. How we take that on board or DPOR take that on board is yet to be determined. So thank you for bringing that. I don't have anyone else on the list. Is anyone else wanting to come forward and talk tonight at all? No? If that's the case, I shouldn't turn my speaker off. I'll close off public question time and proceed with the rest of the meeting. And of course, welcome to stay, but can't take any part in the rest of the meeting. I thank you, Councillor McKinley. Applications for leave of absence. We don't have any. Petitions and deputations, there are none. I'll just go to confirmation of previous minutes with the draft motion saying that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on Tuesday, 26 August 2025, as previously distributed, be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Someone to move, please. Councillor Trail, second. Councillor McKinley, Councillor Trail, Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
We don't have any presentations and no unresolved business from previous meetings, so we'll go to the reports. First one being CCS 743, the monthly financial report, July 2025. The committee recommendation being that the monthly financial report for the period ending 31 July 2025 be received. Someone to move, please. Councillor McLaren, second. Councillor Sutton. Councillor McLaren.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. We'll have just a couple of things to say to this. And I wanted to express my appreciation to the staff for asking the few questions that I did have when I went through the monthly report. We didn't have a committee meeting this month to go through this. So we didn't. Did we?
We did. I just realised that for some reason we've got monthly financial report July 2025 there. It should be, oh no, it's July. Sorry, it is.
It's July.
And we did have a CCS meeting.
Oh, in July. Well, then I must have been there. And I must have thought it was fantastic. But for some reason, I had further questions. And so that opportunity, I just wanted to point out that that opportunity to ask the questions of the officers is greatly appreciated, because that is where you really understand what's going on behind the scenes. And without that opportunity, I think our decision making would be pretty poor indeed. And in the current time of council elections, there has been discussion about items that we discussed with the budget. And I would like I would like us to think about opportunities to invite the public into more of the detail that we find out. There are strategic briefings, and sometimes there are reports done. For example, we heard earlier about the rates. Sometimes it's better to have more people in the tent. And I think it would help us if we shared more of the information that we are getting as councillors with members of the public, because I think that it would help us with our reputation and it would help us to make better decisions. So while I'm supporting the monthly financial report, which is a pretty innocuous thing, I just wanted to have us reflect over the months to come and whether there is an opportunity for us to have more educational briefings with the community about what's happening behind the scenes.
Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Look, just briefly, I'd like to commend the council staff. Over 16 years, our financial reports have got to, in the last probably 6 or 8 years, something you can understand quite easily and presented in layman's terms. If there's ever been any questions, they're more often than not answered quickly and simply. When I first got on, we wanted more detail on one particular budget with an infamous CEO, and it was about that high. All the documentation, just ridiculous. You know, down to biros and pencils, the whole lot, every line item. So, staff, well done, thank you very much. And I'm sure for the new councillors coming in, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier than when a few of us started. So, well done. Thank you.
Anyone speaking against? No? So we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Next, CCS 744, list of accounts for payment July 2025. The committee recommendation says that the list of accounts authorised for payment under delegated authority to the Chief Executive Officer for the period ending 31 July 2025 totalling $9,470,457.14 be received. Someone to move, please. Councillor Trail, second. Councillor McLaren. Councillor Trail? No. Councillor McLaren? Anyone speaking against? Councillor Leonetti?
This isn't really against, Chair, thank you. Like we've had meetings and I can't bring myself to vote this through because I still think we have a lot of room where we can still spend more money locally and the profits stay here in Albany. So I just can't bring myself to vote yes on this, sorry.
Anyone else wanting to speak for or against? Or for or against? No? Councillor Trail, do you want right reply?
Yeah, well, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, I take Councillor Leonard's point. That's valid and you're consistent. I'll give you that much. But just a word of thanks or congratulations, I think, to the finance staff. Going through a pretty tough time. Matthew Gilfillan's on probably well-deserved leave at the moment because bringing a new finance system is at the start of the financial year was pretty difficult. So the reports, as Councillor Sutton has said, will improve even more. From now, this last month has been a little bit higgledy-piggledy, a little bit difficult to understand and actually integrating two systems. So it's going to be a whole lot better for the new council. So from all those points of view, it's well done to Matthew in his absence and Scott. You can pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? And those against?
Carried 9-1 against Councillor Leonetti.
Next, CCS 745, Delegated Authority Report 16 July 2025 to 15 August 2025, with a committee recommendation saying that the Delegated Authority Report 16 July 2025 to 15 August 2025 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Beaujeu, second. Councillor Leonetti. Councillor Beaujeu.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Again, it's really important these reports reflect are a clear representation of the extensive and diverse range of tasks and projects that the city's involved with. The decisions are made under delegation, so they don't come through to us as councillors, but it does get reported back to us through this forum. As councillors, we get to provide that framework, and there are clear policies and direction that's provided to staff to achieve that. But for example, the Calgan Fire Shed, there's funding for that. Crisis transitional accommodation, there's a grant fund application that's been put in, assistance with our Gladwell structure plan, and additional funding for the tennis centre. So that's just a small example of things that are reflected in that extensive report. And again, congratulations and thanks to the staff. It does make our job easier knowing that a whole lot of the operational tasks are more than adequately dealt with. And it's really great to see that the city continuing, as I say, to punch above its weight in the sorts of projects and the things that we're involved in.
Councillor Leonetti. Anyone wanting to speak against? All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Next, CCS 746, adoption of the budget review for the period ending 31 July 2025. Committee recommendation is that the budget review for the period ending 31 July 2025 be adopted. Someone to move, please. Someone to move. Councillor Trail, second. Councillor Grimmer, thank you. Councillor Trail.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you to Sarah for bringing those points to our attention. We did discuss this at committee and did go through the budget review. And from my point of view, at that meeting, and I see that I actually moved that motion, that recommendation then, I was happy with the review, but we'll wait for some answers to those questions that Sarah had in due course. And if anything needs to be changed from there, we can do that down the track. But from my point of view, it was made good sense. We're always doing budget reviews. That's a part of this necessary part of the financial management of this place. So from all those points of view, I'm happy to move this this recommendation and hope we can adopt it. Thank you.
Councillor Grimmer. Is anyone wanting to speak against? Councillor Bruff.
Thanks very much, Deputy Mayor. Look, I've got a governance concern about how the rates were set, and this is not about any specific individual project in the budget review. The July budget document showed 3 different figures for our net current asset surplus. The adopted budget used about 5 million. The forecast column in the same document showed about 6.2 million, and the actual turned out to be about 6.4 million. It's a $1.4 million difference between what we used to set the rates and what we actually had. The budget was certified on the 22nd of July. I was part of that process. And that's 3 weeks after the financial year end, when these figures should have been substantively completed. Let's specifically consider the UV rate changes. Rural ratepayers were hit with 9.95%, nearly 10% increase, and that increase generated about 400 grand. In addition, from the revenue.
So, Councillor Bruff, the UV rate setting is not really part of this budget review, so I'm trying to understand the relevance to the actual budget review.
I have a governance concern, and I'd like to voice that.
Okay, thank you.
So the operating surplus was 1.4 million, stronger than the figure used to calculate the rates. The surplus difference alone was more than triple what the UV rate rise raised. And there's a second pattern worth noting. Last year, the fees and charges came in at 1.2 million over budget, about 5% more than forecast. This year's budget for fees and charges assumes only 1.9% growth in fees and charges revenue, despite the fact that fees have increased by about 3 to 4% and we've got a growing population. If fees perform as well as they did last year, that's another 1.3 million above budget. So I'm not claiming that every dollar there is certain, but people are noticing a pattern. Budget conservatively, tax for the gap, and then the gap never materialises. Now, the $1.4 million surplus difference is a fact. the probable fees upside adds weight to that, and together they raise a straightforward question. Was the UV rate increase necessary? So my specific questions are, when did the city have substantially complete information about our 30th of June position? If that was before the rates were set, why did we use the $5 million figure instead of the $6.2 million forecast as appeared in the same document? And question 3, what is the rationale for extracting an extra $400,000 with a 9.95% UV increase when the opening position was actually $1.4 million stronger than the figure used to calculate that rate rise? I think rural ratepayers deserve answers before I can support this budget amendment.
Anyone else wanting to speak for or against? No, if not, Councillor Trail, you have right of reply if you wish.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Take your points, Councillor Bruff, that the UV rates were calculated wrongly. I think we all agreed there for the minimum rate, and I think we also agreed that we would rectify that in the next budget session. We've always heard from our Executive Director and the CEO that we do budget conservatively, and we always seem to make more money than we can budget for through fees and charges. But from my point of view, and I've asked that again before, Councillor Bruff, so why do we do that? Well, it's his practice, our financial practice. We've been given that answer. So I've been happy to go with that. So from this point of view, I'm happy to continue to recommend this budget review, with the proviso that we do get some answers to questions, and that we can perhaps amend the review down the track. But there are some unanswered questions, I will agree. But from that point of view, I think we can pass this review and then get those answers to those questions down the in next council meetings. So I hope you can support that on that basis. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. No, that ends debate. So we'll put it to the vote. Those in favour? And those against?
Carried 7-3. Against, Councillor Leonetti, Councillor McKinley and Councillor Bruff.
Okay, thank you. Next is DIS 449, Planning and Building Reports, August 2025. The authorising officer recommendation is that the planning and building reports for August 2025 be received. Someone to move, please. Councillor Baiju, second Councillor Sutton. Councillor Baiju, Councillor Sutton. Anyone speaking against? No. So we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Next, BFAC 017, appointment of Chief and Deputy Chief Bushfire Control Officers, Bushfire Brigade Fire Control Officers. Sorry, Mr. CEO. Sorry. Yep, we'll go back. Sorry. I'll allow one faux pas. I haven't done this for 18 months. Okay, AR 182, receiving the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held 26 May 2025. Authorising officer recommendation is that the confirmed minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on 26 May 2025 be received. Someone to move, please. Councillor Trail, second. Councillor McKinley, Councillor Trail.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Moving this as the outgoing chair of this committee, have been for I think at least the last 2 years. So, and it is, as our mayor always says, one of the most, if not the most important committee of council, because it does look at the risk that we take. And at the last meeting, we were actually not this meeting. I think a subsequent one in August. We were presented with a risk and opportunity management framework, a document put together by Stuart Jamieson and Jen Williamson. And we had a very good presentation. And just to let council know, of course, we're aware that this committee actually morphs into a slightly different format at the after the new council takes its seats and becomes the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, chaired by an independent person. So from that point of view, it's a state government recommendation. I'm not sure where we are with appointing or even assessing those applications. I know the advertisement has gone out for a chair for that committee, but I'd like to just thank the officers who've serviced that committee, Matthew mostly in his absence, and before him Duncan Old, because it is a most important committee. So from that point of view, these minutes are just to be received. But I think going on, I think maybe Councillor Leonetti has mentioned before that perhaps all members of council should be on that committee in future, and maybe that is a recommendation that we might take up for the new council. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor McKinley. Anyone want to speak against? All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Okay, next, LEMC 040, receiving the minutes of the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting held 12 June 2025. Authorising officer recommendation is that the confirmed minutes of the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting held on 12th June 2025 be received. Someone to move that? Councillor Bruff. Second, Councillor McLaren. Councillor Bruff. Yeah. Councillor McLaren.
I just wanted to say how important this, the work of this committee is. I might even put my hand up for it, if there's a position available for it. And, you know, I just want to express my appreciation to all those people that meet regularly in this committee and make sure that we're prepared for emergencies. Thank you.
Anyone speaking against? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Thank you. Next, I'll get the right one now. BFAC 017, appointment of Chief and Deputy Chief Bushfire Control Officers, Bushfire Brigade Fire Control Officers. The full recommendation is at the bottom of page 20. I'll just read out the start of it, that the following appointments to essential leadership positions in the City of Albany's volunteer bushfire brigades be endorsed. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Trail, second Councillor Grimham. Councillor Trail.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Deputy Mayor, me again, but as chair of this committee as well, and have been for, probably 3 or 4, almost 4 years, I think. It's probably important, I think, to highlight the importance of course, bushfire control in our city, and you stole my thunder a little bit by mentioning Dr. Sean Winter, who gave us a very good presentation on cultural burning through Wobble Kite. Sorry that Mandy Arnold didn't stay around for this little discussion, because I would have thought that would be very relevant to her concerns. Just to summarise many of the principles, and Scott will probably agree with me, many of the principles that we use for hazard reduction are based on cultural burning practices, cool burns, control burns. So the facts that was presented to us by Mandy were actually wrong in terms of that this is not the intention. Sometimes control burns do get out of control, of course, but they're the exception. So we certainly plan with all of our control burning to actually reduce fuel load, and that's really the important thing. So this list of volunteers, they're part of, I think it's 870 odd volunteers throughout the city who actually go out of their way to protect our safety. We support them as best we can, but these people are all volunteers. I'd really like to highlight that work that they do is greatly appreciated and really of inestimable value. And also, I guess if we do get questions about burning and fuel reduction, and we just need to encourage these people to actually join bushfire brigades. It would be a logical thing. I think that's what you did, Deputy Mayor. Because we need more members of bushfire brigades, and it's a logical thing to do. If you're concerned about the environment, if you're concerned about burning and protection, then join your local brigade. It's a bit of a no-brainer to me. And I just received an email tonight as we're sitting here about some bushfire preparedness sessions which are being run by the city. The young sighting one is this Sunday at 10 o'clock, but there are others happening in other brigades around the city. And the city staff will be at the Albany show at the 7th and 8th of November to do that, run that same bushfire preparedness session. So we'll encourage everybody to go along there and prepare for the bushfire season, which one thing is for certain, we will have fires this summer, as we always do. So let's hope that they're all under control and controlled by all of these people here who we are nominating. So from that point of view, I'd like to thank all those people who put their names forward for this and thank the city staff for their leadership in bushfire control throughout the city. Thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, just following on from what Councillor Charles said, the bushfire brigades are the lifeblood of rural communities. They really play a very